Let me tell you something uncomfortable. Most men lose a woman long before she ever leaves. Not because they weren't attractive. Not because they weren't successful. Not because they didn't try hard enough. They lose her the moment their optimism collapses. The moment their confidence becomes anxiety. The moment their calm turns into overthinking. The moment their desire turns into dependence. Women don't walk away from men who are imperfect. They walk away from men who feel unstable. If your energy says, "I might lose this," she feels pressure. If your presence says, "I will be fine either way," she feels safety. And safety, combined with strength, is irresistible. This is not about pretending to be positive. It's about becoming the man whose emotional center cannot be shaken. And once you understand that, attraction stops being something you chase. And starts becoming something you naturally create. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where we will learn, explore, and share valuable lessons about love. In today's video, I will reveal to you the secret to attracting women through optimism, helping men naturally attract women, a new perspective, helping you better understand the factors that determine a happy and sustainable relationship. Let's explore with me the secrets to building a strong and meaningful love. Before we start, find a quiet place, put on your headphones and relax. Let all your worries melt away, and let the messages in this video help you calm down and feel the most complete. Are you ready? Let's start now. Part 1. Optimism is power, the calm strength women feel before they understand. Let me tell you something most men learn too late. Women are not drawn to noise. They are not moved by performance. And they are rarely impressed by a man who tries too hard. What truly pulls them closer, often before they even realize it, is something quieter. It is optimism. Not the loud, motivational, everything is amazing, kind. Not the desperate positivity of a man who is trying to prove he's happy. I'm talking about grounded optimism. The kind that feels earned. The kind that has survived disappointment. The kind that says, without speaking, "I have seen storms. I am still standing. And I expect good things anyway." That energy changes everything. The mistake most men make. When I was younger, I thought attraction was about dominance. I thought women wanted intensity, mystery, unpredictability. And yes, those things can spark interest. But sparks are not fire. Over time, I realized something deeper. A woman doesn't relax around intensity. She doesn't open up around unpredictability. She may flirt with it, but she does not anchor herself to it. What she anchors to is emotional safety. And optimism, real optimism, signals safety. Not safety as weakness. Safety as stability. A man who expects life to work out tends to move differently. He doesn't panic. He doesn't overreact. He doesn't spiral when things don't go perfectly. And women feel that steadiness before they can explain it. Stoicism and attraction. The ancient Stoics understood something modern dating culture forgot. You cannot control external events. You cannot control how someone feels about you. You cannot control whether a woman chooses you. But you can control your interpretation. And here is the secret. Optimism is not believing everything will go your way. It is believing that whatever happens, you will handle it. That distinction is everything. A desperate man is optimistic about outcomes. A stoic man is optimistic about himself. One says, "I hope she likes me." The other says, "If she does, good. If she doesn't, I remain good." Which man do you think feels more magnetic? Women are incredibly perceptive to emotional dependence. The moment she senses that your happiness is hanging on her response, attraction shifts. Pressure replaces curiosity. But when you are grounded in optimistic self-trust, there is no pressure. You are simply present. Optimism signals abundance. Let's speak practically. A man who complains constantly about work, about people, about the world, even if he is intelligent, drains the room. Negativity is heavy. It makes conversation feel like a burden. Now imagine a different man. He speaks honestly about challenges. But he frames them differently. Instead of, "Everything is messed up," he says, "It's been challenging lately, but I'm learning a lot from it." Instead of, "People always disappoint me," he says, "You can't expect everyone to show up the way you do. But you keep moving." See the difference? Optimism reframes struggle without denying it. And that reframing signals abundance. It tells her, this man is not trapped by circumstances. He is not defined by setbacks. He is expanding through them. Women are attracted to expansion. They are attracted to forward motion. They are attracted to men who carry light into rooms, not men who demand light from others. The calm face of optimism. There is another misunderstanding. Optimism does not mean being excitable. In fact, the most attractive form of optimism is calm. It's the slight smile when plans change. It's the relaxed tone when something goes wrong. It's the steady eye contact when she tests you with doubt. When she says, "What if this doesn't work out?" And you respond, softly, "Then we'll figure it out." No tension. No defensiveness. No emotional spike. Just grounded assurance. That response does something powerful. It tells her she doesn't have to carry anxiety alone. And most women are tired of carrying anxiety alone. Women test your emotional weather. Here's something many men misunderstand. When a woman brings up concerns, doubts, or hypothetical problems early on, she is not necessarily creating drama. Sometimes she is measuring your emotional climate. She wants to see. Do you collapse under pressure? Do you get irritated? Do you become insecure? Or do you stay steady? Optimism is emotional weather control. It says, storms pass. Disagreements happen. Life fluctuates. But I remain consistent. And consistency builds attraction far more deeply than intensity ever could. The difference between delusion and strength. Let's be clear. Blind positivity is unattractive. If you ignore reality. If you dismiss real problems. If you fake confidence while avoiding responsibility. Women will sense it immediately. That is not optimism. That is avoidance. True optimism is disciplined. It acknowledges reality fully. It accepts discomfort. It does not flinch. But it chooses not to dwell. There is strength in that choice. When you can look at your flaws without self-hatred. When you can acknowledge mistakes without shame. When you can admit uncertainty without panic. You radiate something rare. Maturity. And maturity, combined with warmth, is deeply attractive. Why optimism makes you more masculine? Masculinity is not loudness. It is not aggression. It is not emotional suppression. Masculinity is direction. A pessimistic man feels directionless. He reacts to life. An optimistic man feels self-directed. He responds to life. Women gravitate toward direction. They want to feel like the man beside them sees a future, not a wall. When you speak about your goals with grounded excitement. When you talk about growth instead of resentment. When you move through obstacles without broadcasting despair. You become the emotional leader in the interaction. Not controlling. Leading. There is a difference. Leadership is attractive. Control is repelling. Optimism positions you as a leader of your own emotional world. And that world becomes inviting. The energy women lean into. Let me share something I learned the hard way. Attraction is not built through impressing. It is built through feeling. And how does she feel around you? Does she feel tension? Expectation? Judgment? Pressure? Or does she feel ease? Optimism creates ease. It tells her, you don't have to perform here. You don't have to impress me. You don't have to be perfect. We'll enjoy this moment. When a woman feels that kind of presence, she relaxes. And when she relaxes, she reveals herself. And when she reveals herself, connection deepens naturally. No tactics. No manipulation. No psychological tricks. Just grounded emotional strength. The Stoic promise. Here is the quiet promise behind true optimism. I will not make you responsible for my happiness. That promise is powerful. Because many people enter relationships hoping someone else will fix their dissatisfaction. But when you carry your own light, when you manage your own storms, when you approach life expecting growth rather than disaster, you become a place of refuge, not a place of demand. And women notice that. They may not say, I am attracted to your emotional resilience. But they will feel, I feel safe here. I feel calm here. I feel drawn here. And that is where real attraction begins. This is only the foundation. Optimism is not a technique. It is a mindset. It is a discipline. It is a daily practice. Love is not always about brilliant moments, but often about patience, listening and accompanying in every small step. It is those simple things that nurture a lasting bond. That is also the reason why I believe that every experience in love is an opportunity for us to grow and become stronger. If you feel this, please click like as a way to spread positivity to more people. And if this is your first time visiting our channel, click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any lessons. I also look forward to hearing your thoughts. What is the smallest but most meaningful thing you have ever realized in love? Leave a comment below, maybe your answer will become a source of inspiration for others. Now, let's continue our journey to explore deeper perspectives right away. Part 2. Cultivating real optimism, becoming the man who cannot be shaken. Let me be honest with you. Optimism is easy when life is good. When money flows. When your body is strong. When women respond the way you hope. When your plans unfold smoothly. But that is not the optimism women are drawn to. They are drawn to the kind that survives loss. The kind that stands up after rejection. After betrayal. After silence. After disappointment. Because that kind of optimism is no longer naive. It is forged. And forged men are rare. You cannot fake emotional weather. Women can sense emotional instability faster than men think. You may speak confidently. You may dress sharply. You may rehearse your words. But if inside you are anxious, fearful, or resentful, it leaks. Energy always leaks. So before you try to appear optimistic, understand this. Optimism is not a behavior. It is an internal narrative. It is the story you tell yourself when no one is watching. If your internal voice says, I'm always unlucky. Women always leave. Nothing works out for me. Then no amount of charm will compensate. Your tone will carry it. Your eyes will carry it. Your reactions will expose it. The work begins in silence. Rewriting the internal script. When I was younger, I blamed women for my frustrations. I thought, They like toxic men. They don't appreciate good guys. They only care about status. And maybe sometimes that felt true. But the deeper truth was harder. I was carrying bitterness. And bitterness makes optimism impossible. So I had to ask myself a difficult question. What if life isn't against me? That question changed everything. Instead of assuming rejection meant I wasn't enough, I began seeing it as misalignment. Instead of viewing failed relationships as proof of failure, I saw them as training. That shift is subtle, but powerful. You stop personalizing everything. And when you stop personalizing everything, you stop reacting emotionally to every fluctuation. Women feel that shift. You become less reactive, less defensive, less needy, and more attractive. Optimism is built through discipline. Let's remove the romance from it. Optimism is trained. It is trained the same way your body is trained. Daily. Intentionally. Here are the foundations I learned over years. 1. Control what you can. You cannot control her mood. You cannot control whether she texts back. You cannot control if she chooses another man. But you can control your health, your direction, your response, your standards. Every time you redirect your energy back to what you control, you strengthen optimism. Because control builds confidence. And confidence feeds hope. 2. Remove catastrophic thinking. Most men lose attraction before it even begins because of internal panic. She takes longer to reply. Immediately the mind says, she's losing interest. She found someone better. I messed up. That spiral creates tension in your next message. Instead, train yourself to assume neutrality. Not fantasy. Not delusion. Neutrality. She's probably busy. And then you move on with your day. Optimism often looks like refusing to dramatize small events. 3. Build a life that excites you. You cannot rely on a woman to generate your optimism. That is emotional dependency. Optimism grows when your life has forward motion. Fitness progress. Career growth. Creative projects. Personal challenges. When you are expanding, you naturally feel hopeful. And when you feel hopeful, you radiate it without effort. Women are not attracted to men waiting for something to happen. They are attracted to men building something. Turning rejection into magnetism. Here is a truth few men understand. Rejection handled well increases your attractiveness, even to the woman who rejected you. Most men collapse internally. Their tone shifts. Their energy drops. Their pride gets bruised. But a Stoic man responds differently. If she says, I don't think we're compatible, you smile slightly and say, I appreciate your honesty. I wish you the best. And you mean it. No sarcasm. No bitterness. No attempt to persuade. You leave with dignity. Why is that powerful? Because dignity is rare. And sometimes, days later, she will remember. He didn't try to convince me. He didn't react emotionally. He stayed calm. That memory plants curiosity. Even if she never returns, your self-respect grows. And self-respect fuels deeper optimism. The emotional anchor effect. Women live in emotional fluctuation. Not weakness, sensitivity. They feel atmospheres. They sense shifts. They detect tension. When you remain emotionally stable, you become an anchor. Imagine she has a stressful week. Most men either absorb her stress and mirror it, or withdraw and become cold. But an optimistic man says, That sounds frustrating. You'll handle it. He doesn't panic. He doesn't oversympathize. He doesn't dismiss it. He trusts her strength. Optimism toward her becomes empowering. And empowerment builds attraction. Your face reveals your philosophy. Have you noticed how some men look heavy? Not physically. Energetically. Their brows tighten easily. Their tone carries impatience. Their laughter is rare. Years of pessimism shape the face. Optimism softens without weakening. It gives you relaxed eye contact. A subtle half-smile. A slower, more deliberate voice. Women read faces instinctively. Before you speak, your philosophy is visible. The calm future vision. One of the most attractive qualities in a man is a calm vision of the future. Not fantasy. Not grand promises. But clarity. When she asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" you don't hesitate. You answer grounded. "I'm building toward stability. I want freedom. I want meaningful work. And I want a relationship that feels peaceful." That calm certainty creates emotional safety. Optimism is not just about today. It is about projecting steadiness into tomorrow. Becoming unshakable. True optimism makes you unshakable. Not because nothing affects you, but because you process quickly. You feel disappointment, but you don't dwell. You acknowledge mistakes, but you correct. You experience doubt, but you act anyway. This resilience builds something powerful. Predictability. And in romance, predictability does not mean boring. It means safe. And safe is seductive when combined with strength. The hidden truth. Here is the hidden truth most dating advice ignores. Women do not fall for perfection. They fall for emotional atmosphere. If your presence feels light, steady, hopeful, she associates you with relief. And relief is addictive. Optimism makes you that relief. Not because you entertain her. Not because you impress her. But because your energy says, "With me, life feels manageable." That is rare. And rare men are remembered. Part 3. Optimism in motion, how it transforms your presence, body language, and silence. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes, attraction is not built in words. It is built in presence. You can memorize lines. You can study psychology. You can learn techniques. But if your presence carries tension, insecurity, or hidden fear, none of it will matter. Optimism changes presence. Not because it makes you louder, but because it removes the weight. The body never lies. Long before a woman processes what you say, she reads how you stand. Your shoulders. Your breath. Your pacing. Your eyes. A pessimistic man moves like someone expecting impact. His body is slightly guarded. His laughter is brief. His eye contact checks for approval. An optimistic man moves like someone expecting opportunity. His shoulders rest naturally. His breathing is slow. His gestures are unforced. His eye contact lingers without demanding. Why? Because he is not bracing for rejection. He assumes neutrality, or possibility. And that assumption relaxes the body. Relaxed strength is magnetic. Tension is not. Silence reveals confidence. Many men fear silence in conversation. The moment a pause appears, they rush to fill it. They joke. They over-explain. They overshare. But here's what I learned. Silence is only uncomfortable when you doubt your value. If you believe your presence is enough, silence becomes powerful. Optimism strengthens your relationship with silence. When you are internally secure, you don't interpret pauses as failure. You interpret them as space. And in that space, tension builds naturally. A calm glance. A slight smile. A relaxed posture. No rush. Women feel that patience. It communicates. I am not trying to win you. I am experiencing you. That difference is everything. Optimism and eye contact. Eye contact is one of the purest signals of internal state. A man burdened by insecurity will either avoid it, or overdo it. He either looks away too quickly, or he stares aggressively to prove dominance. But a grounded, optimistic man holds eye contact softly. There is warmth in it. Curiosity. Steadiness. Not hunger. Not validation seeking. Optimism removes desperation from the gaze. And when desperation disappears, intrigue appears. Women are drawn to men who look at them without needing something from them. That is rare. Your pace sets the tone. Watch how you walk into a room. Do you scan for approval? Do you adjust your behavior to fit the atmosphere? Or do you carry your rhythm with you? Optimism creates internal rhythm. You don't rush. You don't hesitate. You move at a pace that says, I have time. Scarcity rushes. Abundance flows. Women feel rushed energy as pressure. They feel steady energy as leadership. And leadership does not mean control. You can express appreciation. But you don't reveal everything at once. You maintain boundaries. You maintain direction. You maintain your own life. A pessimistic man clings. A neutral man drifts. An optimistic man invites. Invitation is powerful. Because it gives her space to choose. And choice deepens attraction. Emotional containment. One of the most attractive qualities a man can develop is emotional containment. Not suppression. Containment. There is a difference. Suppression hides emotion and eventually explodes. Containment acknowledges emotion but chooses expression deliberately. If she cancels a date last minute, you may feel disappointment. But instead of reacting with irritation or passive aggression, you respond calmly. No problem. Let me know when you're free. And then you genuinely move on with your evening. Optimism allows containment because you believe. This is not catastrophic. When events are not catastrophic, reactions remain proportional. And proportional reactions signal maturity. Maturity builds trust. Trust builds attraction. How women test stability through energy. Sometimes a woman will shift her mood unexpectedly. She may become distant. Quieter. Slightly challenging. Many men interpret this as danger. They chase reassurance. They increase attention. They try to fix the shift. But often, she is subconsciously testing emotional stability. Not maliciously. Instinctively. She wants to see. Does his energy depend on mine? If you remain optimistic, not forced, not exaggerated, but steady. Your tone remains calm. Your humor remains natural. Your posture remains relaxed. You communicate. My state is self-generated. And self-generated state is powerful. It means you are not emotionally controlled by external fluctuation. That independence is deeply attractive. Optimism during conflict. Conflict is where true presence is revealed. It is easy to be optimistic when everything flows smoothly. But what about disagreement? A Stoic man does not escalate emotionally. He listens. He processes. He responds thoughtfully. If she says, I feel like you don't always understand me. Instead of defending immediately, you say, help me understand better. That sentence carries optimism. It assumes resolution is possible. It assumes growth. It assumes the connection is worth improving. Optimism inside conflict reduces threat. When she feels safe expressing frustration without triggering your ego, intimacy deepens. And intimacy fuels attraction far beyond surface chemistry. Internal fulfillment creates external pull. Here is a truth many men resist. Women are drawn to men who are already fulfilled. Not perfect. Not rich. Not flawless. Fulfilled. If your joy depends entirely on female validation, she will sense the vacuum. And no one wants to be someone else's oxygen supply. But when you enjoy your life independently, when you pursue goals passionately, when you maintain friendships, routines, discipline, you radiate quiet contentment. And contentment is attractive. It tells her, I want you. But I do not need you. Desire without dependency. That is magnetic. The subtle smile. There is a subtle expression I have seen change everything. It is not a grin. Not a smirk. Just a small, relaxed smile that appears easily. It comes from internal trust. When she teases you. When plans shift. When something unexpected happens. Instead of tightening, you soften slightly. That softness communicates emotional elasticity. Elastic men don't break easily. And women feel safer leaning into men who bend without snapping. Presence over performance. Optimism shifts your focus from performance to presence. You stop trying to impress. You start experiencing. You listen more deeply. You react less dramatically. You enjoy moments more fully. And when a woman feels that you are not strategizing every move, she relaxes. Relaxation leads to authenticity. Authenticity leads to connection. Connection leads to attraction that feels effortless. The quiet power of stability. There is a quiet power in a man who does not overreact. Who does not dramatize. Who does not complain excessively. Who does not seek constant reassurance. His energy feels steady. Like ground beneath her feet. And in a world filled with emotional chaos, steady men stand out. Not loudly. But unmistakably. Love is a great lesson in maturity. It challenges us with fragility, teaches us patience through waiting, and gives us strength after being hurt. Here, I don't just tell stories for you to listen to, but for you to reflect on yourself and find your own lessons. If you find it valuable, please click like and subscribe, so you don't miss out on the shares that can change the way you look at love. Now, get ready with me, because the rest will have a lot more depth waiting for you. Part 4. Optimism and polarity, the masculine center women lean toward. There is something most men misunderstand about attraction. They think it is built on excitement alone. Chemistry. Flirting. Teasing. Intensity. Yes, those things create sparks. But sparks without polarity fade quickly. Polarity is the tension between grounded masculinity and flowing femininity. And optimism strengthens that polarity in ways most men never realize. The masculine center. Masculine energy, at its core, is direction. It moves forward. It holds frame. It stabilizes. Feminine energy, at its core, is flow. It shifts. It feels. It expands and contracts. When a man is pessimistic, doubtful, or emotionally unstable, he loses his center. He begins reacting instead of directing. He mirrors her mood instead of grounding it. And polarity collapses. Optimism anchors you. It says, "No matter what happens in this interaction, I remain myself." That stability creates contrast. And contrast creates attraction. Optimism creates emotional leadership. Leadership in relationships is often misunderstood. It does not mean controlling her decisions. It does not mean dominating conversations. It means setting the emotional tone. If you panic when plans change, she feels instability. If you become irritated when she challenges you, she feels tension. But if you respond with calm assurance, you set the emotional baseline. For example, she says, "I'm not sure this is a good idea." Instead of convincing her aggressively, you say, "Let's see where it goes. We don't have to force anything." That response contains optimism. It assumes possibility without pressure. And pressure kills polarity. When she feels free but guided, attraction deepens. Desire without desperation. There is a powerful balance that only optimistic men can hold. Desire without desperation. You can look at her and say, "I enjoy being around you." And mean it. But if she pulls back slightly, your energy does not collapse. You remain warm. Steady. Unbothered. Desperation says, "Please stay." Optimism says, "I hope you stay. But I am whole either way." That wholeness intensifies sexual polarity. Because desire becomes a choice, not a survival mechanism. Women are drawn to men who want them deeply but do not depend on them emotionally. That contrast feels powerful. When attraction intensifies, there comes a stage when tension grows. Longer eye contact. Slower conversations. Subtle touches. More charged silence. This is where many men lose composure. They rush intimacy. They overtext. They become overly available. Why? Because they fear losing momentum. But optimism removes fear. An optimistic man trusts timing. He does not accelerate artificially. He allows tension to build naturally. He is comfortable with anticipation. Anticipation strengthens polarity. Impatience weakens it. Grounded confidence in physical energy. Physical presence changes when attraction rises. Breathing deepens. Space narrows. Touch becomes intentional. A man rooted in optimism does not become clumsy in these moments. He remains deliberate. His movements are slower. His tone softer. His energy steady. He does not grab. He invites. He does not escalate abruptly. He reads the moment. Optimism allows patience because you assume opportunity, not scarcity. Scarcity creates urgency. Abundance creates smoothness. And smooth masculinity is profoundly attractive. Handling emotional waves. There will be days when she feels distant. Days when she questions things. Days when she becomes more emotional. If you interpret those shifts as threats, you destabilize polarity. But if you interpret them as waves, temporary, you remain grounded. You say, "You seem a little off today." Not accusing. Not anxious. Just observing. She feels seen, not pressured. Optimism in these moments says, "This fluctuation is not the end." That belief stabilizes the dynamic. Women relax more deeply when they sense you will not abandon emotional steadiness during turbulence. The strength of non-reactivity. Non-reactivity is one of the most seductive masculine traits. Not indifference. Control. If she teases you, you're too confident. You smile slightly. Maybe. No defense. No explanation. If she challenges, "Are you always this calm?" You reply, Most of the time. Optimism fuels this composure. Because you are not seeking approval. You are comfortable being perceived. When you do not rush to correct her perception, mystery grows. Mystery strengthens polarity. Optimism and sexual tension. Sexual tension thrives in space. Space requires patience. Patience requires confidence. Confidence requires internal security. And internal security is built on optimism. If you assume she might disappear at any moment, you will rush connection. If you assume if this is aligned, it will unfold. You relax into rhythm. Relaxed rhythm creates deeper tension than forced escalation ever could. Women are sensitive to pacing. When you control pacing calmly, you embody leadership without domination. That balance intensifies attraction. Protecting your emotional frame. Your frame is your internal reality. It is how you interpret events. If she cancels, you don't interpret rejection. If she takes space, you don't interpret abandonment. If she expresses doubt, you don't interpret failure. Optimism protects frame. It prevents emotional collapse. And when your frame remains stable, polarity remains intact. Because she feels the difference between a man shaken by her mood and a man steady within himself. Steady men feel rare. Rare men are desired. The quiet dominance of self-trust. Dominance does not require loudness. It requires self-trust. When you trust your value, your direction, your standards, you don't overcompensate. You choose calmly. You speak directly. You walk away when necessary. And you do not dramatize departure. Optimism strengthens self-trust because you believe. If this ends, something aligned will come. That belief prevents clinging. And nothing kills polarity faster than clinging. When she senses that you can let go without bitterness, respect deepens. And respect amplifies attraction. The emotional gravity effect. There is a phenomenon I've observed over years. When a man remains centered long enough, women begin leaning emotionally toward him. Not because he chases, but because he doesn't. Optimism creates gravity. You become emotionally heavy, in the best sense. Stable. Grounded. Reliable. She feels it. And often, she moves closer. Not because you pulled her, but because she feels safe in your orbit. Part 5. Timeless attraction, sustaining optimism in love without losing your edge. Let me tell you something most men never hear. Attracting a woman is one thing. Keeping attraction alive, without losing yourself, is another. Many men master the beginning. Very few master continuity. Because once the thrill settles, once comfort grows, once routines form, optimism is tested again. And this is where Stoic love separates boys from men. The danger of complacency. In the early stages, optimism feels natural. Everything is new. Every message excites. Every touch electrifies. But familiarity changes dynamics. The masculine mistake. Becoming passive once affection is secured. You stop leading. You stop growing. You assume she is there to stay. Optimism is not passivity. It is forward momentum. A Stoic man continues building his life even inside love. He continues training his body. Refining his craft. Expanding his mind. Not to impress her, but because growth is his nature. When a man stops expanding, polarity slowly dissolves. Women are attracted to direction, not stagnation. Long-term optimism is quiet strength. In long-term relationships, challenges will appear. Disagreements. Stress. External pressure. Moments of emotional distance. The question is not whether conflict comes. The question is how you interpret it. A pessimistic man thinks, "This is falling apart." An optimistic man thinks, "This is a phase." That interpretation alone changes everything. You respond with patience instead of panic. You listen instead of defending. You adjust instead of blaming. Optimism inside commitment says, "We can improve this." And that belief becomes contagious. Maintaining polarity over time. As comfort increases, polarity requires awareness. Many men become too accommodating. They lose decisiveness. They avoid conflict. They suppress desires to keep peace. But suppressed masculinity breeds resentment. Optimism allows you to remain honest without fear. You can say, "I don't agree with that," calmly. You can express boundaries without hostility. You can maintain standards without drama. Why? Because you trust that honesty strengthens love, not destroys it. That trust is optimism in action. And paradoxically, boundaries deepen attraction. When she sees that you will not abandon your center to please her, respect increases. Respect fuels long-term desire. Becoming her emotional anchor. Life will challenge her too. Career stress. Family conflict. Internal doubts. In those moments, you are not required to solve everything. You are required to remain steady. You listen fully. You respond thoughtfully. You do not absorb chaos. You do not dismiss emotion. You ground it. Optimism here sounds like, "We'll handle it." Not as a cliché, but as conviction. That conviction allows her nervous system to relax. And when a woman feels emotionally safe over years, attachment deepens profoundly. Avoiding emotional dependency. There is a subtle trap in love. When connection feels good, it is easy to let your emotional state depend on her consistency. If she is warm, you are energized. If she is distant, you feel anxious. This is where men lose inner authority. Stoic optimism protects against this. You remind yourself, "My state is mine." You maintain friendships. You pursue goals. You protect solitude. Not to distance yourself from her, but to maintain internal sovereignty. Sovereignty keeps attraction alive. Dependency erodes it. Attraction inside peace. There is a myth that long-term relationships must become boring. They become boring when growth stops. They become peaceful when growth continues. There is a difference. Peace with polarity feels powerful. It feels stable yet charged. You still flirt. You still tease lightly. You still initiate intimacy deliberately. But you do so from calm strength, not insecurity. Optimism keeps playfulness alive. Because you are not bracing for loss. You are enjoying presence. The Stoic principle that changes everything. Here is the ultimate principle. Love her fully. But never attach your identity to her existence. That is not coldness. That is strength. When you love without possession, your energy becomes clean. You are with her because you choose her. Not because you fear loneliness. Not because you fear starting over. Choice feels different than need. And women feel that difference deeply. Optimism allows you to say internally, "If this lasts forever, beautiful. If it ends, I will survive and grow." That internal security removes pressure from love. And pressure is what suffocates most relationships. The calm man is rare. In a world of emotional volatility. Men who panic easily. Men who rage quickly. Men who collapse after rejection. Men who cling to validation. A calm man stands out. Not because he is flashy, but because he is stable. Stability is seductive in chaos. When your emotional weather remains mostly clear, even during storms, you become a refuge. And humans are drawn to refuge. Aging with strength. As years pass, physical beauty changes. Excitement evolves. But character deepens. Optimism becomes more attractive with age. Because it reflects experience. It says, I have seen enough of life to know that darkness passes. That perspective feels safe. And safety combined with masculine direction becomes timeless attraction. You no longer chase intensity. You cultivate depth. And depth lasts. The final truth. Let me leave you with this. Women are not attracted to perfection. They are attracted to emotional atmosphere. If your presence feels hopeful, grounded, steady, forward-moving, she associates you with ease. And ease creates attachment. Optimism is not about smiling constantly. It is about believing in growth more than collapse. Believing in solutions more than problems. Believing in yourself more than outcomes. When you master that internal state, attraction becomes a byproduct. Not a goal. And that is the highest form of masculine power. Conclusion. In the end, attracting women through optimism is not about appearing cheerful. It is about becoming unshakable. Real optimism is not loud. It does not demand attention. It does not try to impress. It is the quiet confidence of a man who trusts himself. A man who has faced rejection and did not grow bitter. A man who has experienced loss and did not grow cold. A man who understands that life will fluctuate, but his center will remain steady. Women are not drawn to forced positivity. They are drawn to emotional safety wrapped in strength. When your presence feels calm, hopeful, and grounded, she relaxes. When she relaxes, she opens. When she opens, connection deepens naturally. Optimism signals abundance. It tells her, I enjoy you, but I do not depend on you. I choose you, but I do not cling. I see a future, but I am not afraid of uncertainty. That energy is rare. In a world full of emotional volatility, the man who remains composed becomes magnetic without trying. Stoic optimism is not about denying reality. It is about mastering your response to it. And when you master your response, you master your presence. Attraction then becomes a byproduct, not a pursuit. Because the strongest men do not chase love desperately. They build themselves so steadily that love is drawn toward them. And that is the quiet power of optimism. So today's video has ended. Thank you for taking the time to watch it all. I hope you have learned valuable lessons and these shares will help you on your love journey. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to receive more interesting content in the future. I'm very grateful for your support and see you again in the next videos. Wishing you all love and happiness.